repeat your directions? You want each of us to read an element of it?
Yeah, that would be great. So if you just go around, and maybe Scott, you can start just by introducing practice 6, and then each of the rest of you read one of the dimensions.
Practice 6, reflect on our actions. Consciously reflect upon and evaluate our actions and the ways we use power in order to learn and grow into mature and courageous leaders.
Personal. We evaluate our actions and the ways we use or experience power, integrating what each experience has to teach us by regularly reflecting, praying, and or spending time in conscious relationship with the natural world.
Interpersonal. We reflect with others on our actions, as well as our experience and use of power, gaining wisdom from diverse perspectives and learning from one another.
Community. We nurture relational cultures, identifying common interests and public issues affecting our communities, so that we are ready to act together We create a culture of reflection and evaluation within our communities, regularly assessing power dynamics and learning from our gatherings and actions in order to mature as leaders and communities.
Public sphere. We collectively reflect on and evaluate the power dynamics of all public actions, including their impact on relationship development, leadership capacity, public systems, marginalized communities, and the natural world.
Well, I was reflecting on this practice 6, and it was just drawing my mind back to what is the point of eco-faith recovery? What was the point of this eco-reformation process? What is the point? And I think we can articulate that point in a lot of different ways, but the way it came to me was it's about changing, like Scott, you said, this toxic culture that we are just simply steeped in. A culture of disconnection, of objectification, of isolation, and all the destruction that flows out from those basic kinds of orientations to ourselves, each other, and the world. And if there's, every one of these practices chips away at that. But I just felt like this practice 6 is one of the biggies in terms of changing the culture. Because, quite honestly, we can develop relationships and still be fairly unconscious. We can even pray and access spiritual power and still be fairly unconscious. We can learn our story, we can tell our story, and still be fairly unconscious, right? There's lots of ways that we can do these practices and still not really change the culture, but just fit the practices within a destructive culture. But practice 6 doesn't let us do it quite that easily. We can still try. We can still try. But when we're invited, at each of these dimensions to reflect on power and how we experience and how we use power, whoa, it's hard to be unconscious when we're invited to do that, right? In the interpersonal dimension, when we're really invited to learn from other people's reflections, well, it's hard to stay isolated and let other people's reflections in. at the same time. And then this piece about maturing as leaders and communities. In a sense, I feel like that's what this is. That's the magic of this practice 6, is that it grows us up. It wakes us up, and then it grows us up. And I have experienced this myself. I can almost sometimes feel myself growing up when I'm doing this practice 6, because I'm seeing something in a new way, and I can't go back after I've seen something in a new way. And yeah, I think that's the magic of this particular practice. And so, so as we go forward and as we, do this whole session practicing practice 6, but even as you go forward from here, I really invite you to incorporate this into your life in every possible way that you can. Every meeting that you're a part of, everything. It doesn't even have to be a meeting, right? We're using it in a meeting context, right? But wherever you are, this practice changes things. It changes us, and I hope that we will all be a little bit different at the end of this session from practicing this practice together. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to share about that for today.